They have so many meta power picks and like combinations. If you wanted to go bot lane, you could even go Xayah Rakan.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do pick up something like the Annie for the mid lane, which is going to be relatively comfort for Mol to work off. But the Ahri, something that is a lot easier to execute when it comes to those team fights where you do have a lot of dashes where you won't get punished for those mispositionings. But of course, the Gnar is going to be the response for the side lane, this champion up against K'Sante. I feel like it does become quite the nuisance once you do go the Hullbreaker build and you have a lot of pressure towards the side, where Cube on this K'Sante most likely going to be looking for those flanks in the 5v5s. But we talked about the Annie, and it is going to get locked in for Shanks, and the jungler is going to be up next for WE. So we have hung on very comfortable champions like the Poppy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he picks that here.
Yeah, Poppy could be an option. It's good against the Gnar, it's good against the Ahri. Whether or not you want that this early in the draft, we'll have to wait and see. But the Kai'Sa is going to be locked in for Hope here. Definitely, maybe the highest priority AD carry on this patch. The patch happened and overnight Kai'Sa just became an absolute sensation in the LPL. And Hope certainly has the AD carry mechanics to pull it off.
And exclusively to the LPL, right? Because if you look at LCK, they're still kind of vibing with Samir's and Tristan is in the bottom lane, but Kai'Sa is definitely LPL exclusive.
That's the funny thing, isn't it? Because like, if you said, you know, Kai'Sa's really big in the LPL but not in the LCK, your initial reaction would be like, oh yeah, they want, you know, more front to back. No, they're still playing like Samira and stuff. It's not like they don't have the killer instinct. It's just, I don't know, they're just not vibing with the Kai'Sa. It's interesting to see how the metas differ, even though they're like stylistically in a team fight. They both want to go in, you know. Wukong taken off the board though here. As we'll see how the rest of this draft is going to go. The Vi Ahri combo did come out in the end. You can maybe ban away a Nautilus, honestly, if you're RA, just to remove that horrendously strong combo in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and the Feather, oh, not Feather, the Rakan is going to get taken away from Feather in towards the bottom side, which would have synergized really well with the Ahri and Vi. But I'm still very scared for Ahri if they don't ban out the Poppy, which is going to get slammed here. So WE, they still are looking for a jungler, but champions like the Nocturne and Viego, of course, still up and available for Hung to take. But I still believe WE, they do find the most success when Hope is set up to succeed. We see him playing champions or very comfortable on champions like the Jinx and the Aphelios, where they are kind of executing that front to back team composition. But up against Ahri for today, it's very clear that they're going for the pick approach with the Ahri and Vi and looking for those individual kills in the side lane, but assume he wants to shut down Hope as soon as possible with this Draven.
Instant in there as well on the Draven. Assume is going ham in this one, and I'm definitely ready to watch it. Assume he's only played it twice this split, but 100% win rate and a 9 KDA on that Draven. He knows how to dominate a lane, and they'll have counter pick for support.
You know, talking about KDAs, I believe my first interaction with League of Legends, playing up ranked, my friend introduced me to the game and he said, as long as you get a KDA that's green, you're good to go. But 9, that's sitting in like the yellow marks of the OP.GG KDAs. But I'm going to be really surprised if I1D locks in the Rel blind here, because there's still champions like the Alistar and the Braum available for the bottom lane, although I don't think Braum synergizes that well with the Draven. So a bit of a kind of, you know, spicy pick towards that bottom side. But once again, I mean, RA, Assume needs to be ahead on this Draven. He needs to get kills. So something with a bit more kill threat that can do a counter engage up against Rel would be lovely towards this bottom side.
Oh, the Milio is going to come through at the last second. And I don't know how I didn't notice that. Yeah, Milio was made it through the draft there. Didn't get banned out. Assume and Feather, Draven Milio as their bottom lane. A lot of damage, that's for sure. And the range can make it so difficult to... I mean, Kai'Sa's biggest issue is in the laning phase that she has an extremely short auto-attack range. Against the Draven that has bonus range on his axes, that's going to be a really hard time for Hope.
Yeah, and you also have to consider the fact that both Assume and Feather in their kits, they have stuff that can cancel out the initial rel engage from I1D towards the 2v2 of the bottom lane. So I1D, he needs to kind of be creative with how he approaches these team fights, and he's very reliable on that flash key. As I played this match of Millia up against a rel, where up against the new rel, when even her Q is a CC, is a little bit rough because the rel can just jump to the side and dodge out on your little bubble Q and then look for the stun onto you, so she can still close the gap. It's going to be a lot of expectations for Feather, especially towards that early game, because I feel like this Draven and Millia, if they do get caught out in that early game, RA's composition kind of just fall apart.
Yeah, RA, they probably need to get themselves a lead. Like when you've got a Draven lane, you've got the Ahri Vi combo as well. It feels like they want to be going on that front foot. But a lot of it just meta power picks, right, for the side of W. With the K'Sante up top, you've got the Annie mid, you've got a Kai'Sa in the bottom lane. It does feel like all three of those picks can just pop off and take over a game. But we're here in Xi'an, if I'm saying that right, for WE's Arena, as we head into game number 1 between WE and RA. And I reckon this one's going to be a bit of a banger.
I have a feeling that this series is going to go to 3 because we've seen a bit of inconsistency here and there from WE, and RA is in the exact same shoes. But once again, I feel like we already set up how RA, they need to play towards this Draven. They need to have first move for Mole on this RA up against Annie, who will get a slight lead in terms of the early game, where Shanks, I mean, we've seen great synergy out of him and Hung. But in my opinion, Annie and Sejuani is kind of a hit or miss. They really rely on that level 6. They just don't have enough damage to look for early skirmishes, so they really rely on I1D also joining them up in terms of those early game major objectives.
We'll see if I1D can get out onto the map then. I mean, he's Rel, he's got a horse, so you'd expect him to be able to gallop on over.
That is true, he has a horse.
I will say, the fact that Rel has a horse and yet is like, it feels extremely slow, or at least just the same speed as everyone else. I feel like she should be fast, you know, having a horse. Although I guess it's made of metal.
I mean, you also have Sejuani on a boar, so if you were to put a race up for a horse and a boar, I mean, that's a bit of a stupid question. Of course, the horse will come out.
I mean, the horse is winning that 100 times out of 100. Let's be real here. It's like racing a horse and a pig, you know? Like, pigs aren't known for their speed. Maybe they're like Gimli, natural sprinters, you know? Not known for the distance.
Yeah. Most definitely, and I1D looking, already getting off his horse and putting that extra pressure, taking this priority in the mid lane bush does mean RA have to back out and really respect that level 2 spike from I1D, where I wouldn't be surprised if they force flashes out very early on and then start forcing at least a bit of pressure under this tower, which will zone off Assume from getting any CS and XP into his pockets. But we'll have to wait and see, because Hung, he did start the blue buff and he is making his way towards here.
Certainly is pathing down towards that bottom lane, as the level 2 will be hit. But assuming Feather, you expect them to be waiting for that level 3 mark where all the abilities are online. Whether or not we can actually just see 2v2s, that's the one thing about Enchanters. It can be hard to actually initiate a proper fight. Just going to be using that range to try and outpoke, out-sustain.
I feel like Millia doesn't even have that much sustain inbuilt into his kit. The W is mainly used for the on-hit and how it extends your range on the AD carries, but he does have 2 stacked up shields like the Rakan, so it is going to make those trades a lot easier. So W's bottom lane, they can't take short trades up against this composition because they are going to slowly run out of pots eventually and forced to reset. But we do have Lian hovering towards his mid lane, and Shanks is extremely pushed up.
He is, but looks like the Scott Crab will be the priority here for Lian. Just moving up towards that top. Crab, Hung doing the exact same on the opposite side. So an even start to things. A quiet one here as Skraz Bloom will be popped. Hung had a ward on the chickens earlier. Now he's got a ward on the Gromp. I feel like Hung is playing with full information across the course of this early game.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a vision trade going towards the bottom and top side for respective teams, but we also have to consider the fact that both of these teams rely on those level 6 spikes so much when it comes to these skirmishes, but Feather's ultimate needs to be perfect up against W's initial engage from the Rel. I mean, you have to consider how much CC that W has drafted for this game one. The K'Sante with the all-out, a lot of knockups just inbuilt into this champion. But of course, Shanks and Hung looking to stack up that CC as well. Well, I1D also has so much CC, so Feather quite literally, I wouldn't be surprised if he needs a Mikhail's just to, you know, protect Isshun, but I think that's a little bit overkill, but that is how much emphasis that you need to put on when it comes to facing off W's composition.
Xiaoshu has been fantastic this split, but he could be in trouble as Cube will knock him back with the Q3 and gets the slow as well as Hung tries to move in. Cube might be overstepping this one ever so slightly, but look where Xiaoshu is. He's on the wrong side of the lane, gets into the river, but he has no reinforcements. Flashes the Q3, Hung with the flash knockback, and that will be first blood for Cube.
And Hung doesn't spot out Lian towards that bottom side, so he makes his way towards his top, trading flash for flash as well. I wonder, you don't want to be there, your jungler's not there, but I don't think Lian has the damage to finish you off, so it's going to be a bit of a stare down, but we talked about how Cube on this K'Sante, once you give him a lead, I don't think Gnar can come back in that side lane because of how oppressive he is with that first item spike.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one with K'Sante getting ahead. Xiaoshu has been impressive across the split. I guess we'll have to wait and see. He's got his boots as well, so at least a bit of protection there as Lian moving towards the bottom side of the map here. There isn't any vision to defend Hope and I1D, so maybe after Krugs he could look towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, we do have a ward kind of in the river for Xiaoshu to be on the lookout for, but Hung dodges the vision perfectly, goes around the Rift Herald pit and catches this Gnar off guard, and of course Cube going in for the trades. It was always going to be a kill secured for WE's side, and of course the final kill going into Cube's hand. Lian's in a bit of a sticky situation.
Yeah, so much for Lian finding an opportunity on the bottom side. He's going to be forced to flash away instead as I1D found it, trying to do those Krugs. I think he did get away with the Krugs, but it cost him his flash. I'm not sure that's a trade he wanted to make here. It's Assume and Feather now trying to clear the minions so that they could participate. Scuttle Crab will go the way of RA by the looks of things. Or not.
Hung just straight up steals it.
Hang on, Lian has no flash available. Will be stunned up here. The knockup comes in as well, and Shanks is there to finish the kill off too. The mid laner comes in and sweeps up the 300. And WE, they've got a Drake on a silver platter if they want it.
And that's how potent the trio of WE is going to be in this early game, as Lian, without the flash, as he was looking for that invade towards the bottom side, forced to use it, doesn't have a way of getting out. Bit of disrespect coming out of the jungle of RA, not working alongside Mole on this Ahri, but she is now level 6, however, is going to get poked out without that TP available either, so WE, they're looking for this first dragon.
They certainly are. Dragon will be started off, just waiting until Hope could neutralize the wave that was pushing in the bottom side. So now that that bottom lane is a bit more neutral again, and in fact, priority for WE. The Drake is startable. Shanks shoving in the mid lane, using the Tibbers to force Mole out. Everything looking hunky-dory for WE in this early game, and they've got close to a 2,000 gold lead in the first 7 minutes. It's not a bad start.
Yeah, and WE definitely a team that works off momentum, where they are more than happy to snowball with this composition as well. Hung is level 6.
Oh, ult immediately comes in. The knockup is there, and well, see you later, Feather. Assume trying to get underneath the tower, still has his flash. Tries to dodge, but will still get hit anyway. He'll have to reset on this one, surely. Because they could threaten the dive. He's sticking around for now, as Hope doesn't quite get the isolated Q there. I wonder if he was trying to find that, but the minion wave arrives and blocks it. Assume. He knows something could be happening here. Back it away completely, but Lian moves in to make sure his AD carry is safe. And maybe to find Hope, who stayed around perhaps a little too long here. Lian couldn't quite get in range, doesn't commit the ultimate.
Hope had full information that Lian was trying to look for something towards that bottom side. Just look at the vision that I1D has been able to secure towards that bottom side. Now the Rel is linking up with the Sejuani and looking for something in the mid lane, getting that priority up against Ahri. And they're securing the first Rift Herald as well. So WE just a lot more proactive, but back to that bottom lane play, I kind of already mentioned how Feather's performance, at least positioning, has to be extremely good up against the Rel and Sejuani, not even burning the flash because it was just way too overextended when you know that WE took the initial dragon.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one. Shanks, WE, they're just taking everything. Herald now taken for Hung as he moves in to even invade the red buff as well at the same time. In the meantime, Lien doesn't really get access to the enemy jungle. He's just in the river, has to move back into his own quadrant. So it feels like at this point, Hung building a massive lead. Not only 1-0 and 2, 100% kill participation so far in everything that's happened for WE, but controlling those objectives, getting a couple of bonus camps as well. A very one-sided start here for WE.
And you do see this slow pushing wave for Hope for the bottom lane as well. So Hung getting the Raptors. He does have the ultimate coming up very soon, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do try to force at least the ultimate out of this Ahri in the mid lane. But Reset, plop that Rift Herald towards the bottom lane for Hope. Could also be an option for the side of WE, as they can also shut down this Draven with that huge wave building, and that's exactly what they want for this early game. But I just realized Assume's using the Fright Knight Draven skin, and it has chainswords for the axes, and I'm not a big fan of that, but I know a lot of people have mixed opinions about this skin.
Why? It's kind of cool. Like,
I don't like chainsaws.
I mean, sure, but like, you know, I don't like Star Guardians. It's whatever, right? Hope's in trouble, though. Will be knocked up. Use the killer instinct to get himself away. And he's fine, but
oh, it's just flashing in.
Wants to try and find the miracle kill. He doesn't have to. Oh, he does! He actually gets it. The cash-in comes through. The cleanse is clean. And Assume finds his stacks.
Assume just cashed in. I thought that kill was not going to be going into this Draven's pockets, but Feather coming in with a clutch shield. WE caught off guard. And it is going to be favorable for the side of RA as no one else falls.
Absolutely fantastic for Assume. When he flashed over into 3 people and the Rel combo hits him, I thought it was doomed. But, I mean, the initial play is great to get Hope low.
Yeah, and just everyone look at Feather and how Milio sneaks in a sneaky shield onto this Draven, also with the cleanse coming out as well. And that gives the kill over with 675 gold going into Assume's pockets. But I don't think that one kill is going to be enough, because that's double summoners gone from the AD carry, with this dragon spawning in 1 minute as well. So once again, positioning is going to be key.
Herald's still up there as Shanks getting big damage down onto Mole. Once again, just using the Tibbers. A, for a boatload of gold coming out from First Strike. But B, to get this mid lane priority as well. Curious where Hung will try and drop that Herald, because we do see a lot of teams using it mid to get priority and to go to the Drake. But I feel like with plates still on the board, you would love to get a bit of gold into Hope's pockets, wouldn't you?
Most definitely, especially with him going the Kraken, so it is going to be the full AD Kai'Sa for this game one. No shifts, just quiet coming out of both teams, but Hung is an absolute menace around the entire Rift for this game one. He is most likely going to be dropping it towards that mid lane, like you said, getting extra gold into Shank's pockets. I'm assuming he's going to go the Luden's Annie build. That is going to be so much burst for Assume to deal with, not having that cleanse available as well, only relying on the Milio ultimate for this upcoming fight.
Yeah. Tibbers is going to be on cooldown though, so Shanks doesn't necessarily have his big engage tool. The thing is, with the composition that WE have drafted, you're not really relying on Annie in the way that a lot of compositions do. Because you've got that Sejuani. Speaking of the Sejuani, it's a good little CC chain,
that's a flash.
There's just no damage. He's still half HP after flashing out.
He is sitting on that even trail, so this Sejuani is very hard to kind of one-shot for the side of RA, and that is 2 engage tools gone, and Spirit Rush, and also this, is it called the Cease and Desist? I can't say Vi's ultimate for the life of me. I don't know why.
It used to be Assault and Battery, which I think was a better one, but you know, you can't have them all, can you? It's like Spray and Pray versus Ratatat, or Ratatat, I can't remember what it's called. Twitch's ultimate. Anyway, I think Spray and Pray was a way better name, but I don't know. I don't know why they change ability names over the years. I feel like, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and I really hope that Riot changes it back to Assault and Battery, because I can't say Cease and Desist For the life of... I don't know why I have such a struggle saying this word, but Second Dragon going over towards WE now. They are slowly snowballing this game with a 2k gold lead. While top lane, ever since that first blood, I feel like Cube has just been chilling with taking these plates. And that's kind of a reason why K'Sante is such a nuisance in the meta right now. No champion can kind of go even up against him, where he's just naturally getting pushed and always utilizing that Demolish to get early plates into his pockets. But at the 14-minute mark, I mean, the tower plates have gone away, and we still have tier 1s available, but we need to also talk about how iWandy on this rel has been placing so much great vision for Hung to work off for this game 1.
So far, so good. I mean, look, you asked right at the start for iWandy to get out on the map. I can't remember the last time I saw iWandy in the bottom lane. Like, iWandy has been all over the place, trying to find plays for his team, trying to A, be the initiator, but B, get that vision down in advance of plays so that his mounted buddy in Hung can find the initiation for some of these plays. I will just quickly mention as well, though, 2 Triforces just finished off for RA, which, you know, Mythic spikes are always big, but Triforce always feels a little bit bigger than most Mythics in terms of it's so expensive, but Champion spikes so very hard, especially Draven with that Serrated Dirk as well, but I mean, there's only so much spiking you can do when you jungle against one shot.
Yep, and the flash committed from Shanks as well. Luden's picked up for this Annie. So much damage. Mole's trying to look for something here.
The charm goes wide, though. And Mole, he'll look for something. He won't find it. WE are absolutely chilling. And you know what? Hope gives him a little love tap on the way out as well. As Hung, 100% of the objectives so far in this game as he goes towards this second Herald here. I mean, this is just macro domination from WE.
Yeah, not even just 100% early objective rate. Hung is also sitting on 100% KP for this game 1, and it's all thanks to the initial vision setup that iWandy was able to find towards that top side, catching lane off guard. And that does deny so much pick potential that this Ahri and Vi so desperately rely on in the early game, looking for those individual picks. But now WE, they're grouped up, and they don't really have a way of engaging.
Yeah, second Herald going to be used here to finish off the mid-tier 1, which means there's more space to push in and get deep vision down. Not to mention, you already talked about the K'Sante in the top side naturally getting push in most lanes and being able to use Demolish to chip away at the tower. Well, you can see on the minimap that top tier 1 very, very low. And now Shanks moving up to that lane to try and finish that one off, try and get that pressure, use the Tibbers to get lane presence and then just slowly but surely finish that tower off. So for WE right now, the macro game has been fantastic. The early game has been fantastic. And it does mean that RA, with this Draven composition, the Ahri Vi, we talked about the early game strength, they're falling pretty dramatically behind with a composition that you would hope they find a lead with.
Hey, I mean, they're lucky that one kill went into Assume's pocket because it was just an airy diff at the very end. As Shanks, I mean, this Annie has also been so oppressive in terms of the presence around the map, and they are trying to look to chip away at this tier 1 tower. Mole has a Spirit Rush, but we talked about the Mountain Bros consistently hovering this Annie, and alright, they don't really have a response to any of these macro plays.
Yep, the Mount Bros in play once again as Mole goes in, gets close to getting stunned up as Lian now chasing for it as well, as iWandy could be the target here. He's still pretty squishy on this rel, but protected by Hung. His Mount Bro steps forward as the bouncer to protect iWandy.
God, I love the name Mount. I'm gonna use that for eternity from now on if I ever see a rel in Sejuani.
Like, the players are bros, but actually both of these characters are female. We're calling them Mount Bros. Mount Sisters? Sisters? I don't exactly roll off the tongue.
It doesn't really fit, oh, it doesn't really hit the same, but the dragon is going to be spawning in 30 seconds as we don't have the Spirit Rush available for Mole. He has gone with the Merc Treads and Everfrost approach, so no damage whatsoever compared to what Shanks is serving us with the Sulk Boots and of course Luden's so much magic pen going into his pockets. But once again, it's all about the Draven and how they're going to be able to really protect him in these teamfights. He does have double summoners and Feather looking for that protection, but Feather gets engaged on.
Has to use his ultimate there to keep himself safe as Shanks is behind him. Finds the stun, and Feather surely doomed in this one. Another kill for Shanks as iWandy keeps Lian and Assume out of the play, threatens the potential further follow-up, the potential engage. This will be 3 Drakes now for WE, and again, this neutral objective game from WE has been immaculate. The way they are playing around the map, and now Cube is just going to pull him over the wall, straight into Shanks with the stun. The solo lane link-up is gorgeous to watch.
And the treaty in top lane is going to be gone. Mole looking for an option here.
Yeah, but that stopwatch buys Shanks a little bit of time. Not enough time, though.
Oh,
Assume
he took
couldn't
it!
quite finish the kill. Mole, I think, accidentally taking it there with the Spirit Rush, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the Foxfire. Either way, WE still getting themselves that Drake, but the cash in not quite there. Hey, a pick is better than nothing for RA.
Yeah, but on the other side, 3rd soul point for WE, and also this top tier 1 finally falls in Hope's pockets. But we'll take another look at this bottom lane as Xiaoshu just get all out over the wall and into the palms of Shanks on this Annie, and that is just so much damage from this player in particular. But of course, Mole having that Spirit Rush coming off cooldown and 3 members towards this bottom side, while we have Hung committing to the dragon, does mean they do have a numbers advantage. But we'll take another look at the replay. It is just the Spirit Rush taking that away from Assume on this Draven, which he is probably really sad about. But the Triforce going into this game 1, it isn't going to offer as much damage compared to something like the Duskblade, but it does allow for a lot more survivability, and that's exactly what you need against W's composition.
Certainly is. See what RA can do with that little bit of extra gold. I feel like that play as well from WE is like, the initial solo lane play is really clean, like really synced up. They obviously have premeditated that. But then the follow-up where they just stick around hitting the tower, maybe going into solo queue mode a little bit there, not respecting what RA could do to answer the play. But again, Mole forced out of a play here. Just keep threatening in the bottom side, and I feel like WE just playing this slow and steady. Oh no!
Oh, you do not want to be there.
Oh god, RA!
Who hit that one? No, who's the imposter on RA? Who hit that blast plant? Because that just killed Feather straight up.
We need a replay stat. Feather goes down.
Like
Baron can be started.
0.3. We need a replay, and we need the order from whoever hit. I think it's Lilian, because there's no way the Milio thinks he can take that. But now, desperate attempt at stealing this Baron, trying to slow down the game, and for any opportunity to come back into this game, but he's getting zoned off by just iWandy on the rel.
iWandy. He's like at one of the, I can't remember what they're called. He's at one of those horse shows, like trotting around, strutting his stuff. He's got his mane in all lovely plaits. Let's look at this. What? Lian, man!
You are in big trouble for that. You can get out with your little dash, but Feather on the receiving end.
God.
Betrayed by his own teammate.
I mean, Lian, he's not had a good game, has he? The early game, he's been completely out jungled by Hung. And now, just like rinses Feather. Feather's gonna get subbed again. Baolan's gonna come in because of you, Lian. I hope you're happy.
I mean, I do feel like this RA composition, Mole is looking for the engage, flashed out of Shanks, and that play is just going to die down. I don't think RA have the damage to look for a re-engage, especially onto Hung, who's sitting on 2 items and the Sunfire, while Hope with the Baron buff just going at this tier 2 tower. But yeah, back to my point where I think RA, they are missing a very loud voice when it comes to the initial engage, especially with Feather on this roster. You see that they do struggle looking for those picks in terms of the early game. And even on the Enchanter, I mean, Lian does need someone to bounce off with.
WE are just completely ignoring RA here as they take an inhib tower and they look for a bot lane inhib as well. This isn't even a Baron siege. They're just walking down the lane. The solo laners from RA trying to threaten on the opposite side of the map, looking for those objective bounties. So at least a bit of gold with a tier 1 in the mid lane. Maybe a tier 2 up top, but I think Cube will arrive in time. Maybe not. Xiaoshu, 1 or 2 more, will finish the task. 680 gold went into his pocket there. So, you know, it's something.
it's not too bad because you have to consider the fact that even if you do rotate Mole and Xiaoshu towards that bottom lane and protect the inhibitor, it's still gonna go into W's favor because they have no way of kind of disengaging the initial dashes from I1D and of course Hung. So they do trade for both tier 1 towers in the middle and top side, even tier 2 going into Xiaoshu's pocket. So that opens up the map a lot more. But you have to consider the fact without your bottom lane inhibitor, super minions are pushing in and the Inferno Soul is going to be spawning in 40 seconds.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And I will say, WE winning this one at a good pace. I1D caught out of position though, and his Mount Bro still over the wall, couldn't get involved to help out. Hey, nice little pick for RA. Can they find anything more off it? At minimum, they'll stall out the rest of this Baron. And maybe, with I1D down for Drake spawning, could RA have the advantage?
Xiaoshu needs to get a beautiful ultimate on this Mega Gnar if they want to contest for this dragon. Although not having I1D for the side of WE, they don't have the Spirit Rush, and they don't have Vi's ultimate
the charm
either.
hit.
Shanks.
Shanks actually got hit by that jump as Hope just flies into the action to protect his mid laner. Now a TP comes on through, but Xiaoshu, he's picked a bad fight. He's about to turn Mega Gnar, but the stun doesn't land. His ult can't be used. He has to dash away and keep himself safe. And it will be WE winning the fight out anyway. Who needs a support? They say it's the flash in from Hope to finish the kill. That'll be a tier 2 in the mid lane as the supers punishing the base, and Soul will be taken as well.
And that is every single flash burnt from this RA roster as well. That was the last fight for them to come back into this game. But unfortunately, like you said, with the base getting swarmed by supers and now the Inferno going into W's pockets, it's going to be so hard to really get that or find any picks once again, as we do have the charm hitting Shanks in particular, but Hope goes untouched this entire fight. And we talked about how Xiaoshu on this Gnar, he needed Mega, he needed that CC to make up for the lack of ultimates that are committed for I1D from the initial play. But unfortunately, with also Xiaoshu using that flash to get over the wall here, they have no way whatsoever to really contest for this remaining game.
Yeah, I love how aggressively Hope played in that fight as well. Like, you see Shanks in trouble and Hope is like, you know, the Mount Bros have inspired me across the course of this one. Flies in. He's like, yeah, walking bros. Well, I say that. He literally flew into the... I don't think he's walking. Yeah, no. K'Sante, not even a walking bro either. He could jump over walls. So, Shanks, you're on your own. You've got no bros in this one. But WE, I mean, great stuff. Great team play coming out from them. And again, this is like, we keep on seeing WE have games like this where they look absolutely fantastic, beating teams like Weibo, beating teams like Top Esports. But then we have games where they lose to LGD. So again, I don't feel like we could draw any massive conclusions from this game just because we've seen this before. We've seen that they can do this. And like when they do it, they look like a top team. The speed at which they have stacked up these Drakes, the speed at which they put big pressure on the enemy. Hope putting pressure on his own inventory right now.
You know, the emote that I1D just used on Hope was the little, I believe it's Nico's frog with the question mark. That is one of my favorite League of Legends emotes because it's just the perfect situation. It's like a question mark ping, but inbuilt into the emote slot. And, you know, Hope didn't need his stopwatch anyways because now, although the bottom inhibitor is going to be respawning in about 1 minute, RA, they need to look for the wave clear. But unfortunately, I mean, Draven just never found that early lead. And I really want to credit something that I have noticed in WE games is that they're very efficient at dragon stacking, especially when you do have I1D and Hung linking up so well together and also working alongside Shanks. Shanks has the flash here, no vision on this Annie.
Yeah, this could be bad news bears for RA. If they lose another fight, the game might just end. Slan goes into him. Hope is there too, though, and will finish the job. Shanks with the kill. And a beautiful pick from WE. Is it enough for them to open up the map? I don't know about that, but it'll be enough for a Baron at very least.
I'm gonna give Leon the benefit of the doubt. He did not know that Annie was there. It kind of seemed like, oh, RA knew that Shanks was looking for a flank in that bush in particular, but I genuinely think Leon just charging up the Q to get over the wall so he can look for a bit of vision control towards his top side, but into the embrace of Shanks is going to be a 45, and also the Baron going to WE's hands.
Oh, Mole has to use his Spirit Rush as well. That is disastrous news as Leon. I mean, yeah, he didn't know the Annie was there, but I'd argue that that's the issue. That he doesn't suspect that Shanks might be hiding in a bush. That's kind of what Annie does. But I mean, it's not just a Lien issue, right? It's a team-wide issue. He needs the rest of the gang to help him face check. They need to work together to get vision. You can't just have one person trying to face check into a super fed Annie like that. The cannon will finish off the top inhib tower. The minions pushing in the bottom side. I believe the push is in favor of WE, but no supers there anymore. Top inhib opened up as Hung just trying to hold the mid wave for now so that the minions can come on through from his side. But I like how WE just playing this slow and steady, not giving any opportunity for RA to even find a fight to get back in the game.
Yeah, WE just dragging this fight out. Xiaoshu is back to mini Gnar, so they no longer have this level 17 Gnar with the CC provided for this upcoming team fight. That's going to be most likely double inhibitors. WE playing very disciplined and through the macro as RA, they're just slowly suffocating.
Yeah, the second Xiaoshu goes mini, they're like, okay, you're not Mega Gnar, then we're not scared of you anymore. Shanks, the reactions on the stasis is perfect. And that's a kill onto Xiaoshu. That's going to be game here, you've got to believe, as the third inhib goes down. And 007, in fact, no, Spartan 117. In fact, we got multiple Spartans for WE. 117 for both Hope and iWandy, the Master Chief duo in the bottom side. As the Nexus Tower is now threatened, the double knockback with iWandy climbing in as well. It's a beautiful little combo for WE as they finish this game in style. And what domination in game number one. What a way to start a series.
And from start to finish, Hung on the Sejuani just had complete control of the entire map. And that goes back to our point where WE, when they're on top of their game, they look like a super roster that can challenge the top of the standings in the LPL. Yeah. And once again, they're delivering.
They look absolutely fantastic. I mean, WE, there's very little that you can criticize in that one. Obviously, there was a couple of missteps. There was a couple of